Time is money, and it brings us to our next real deal. Let's talk about investing on this cyber war, right? Because the cyber war, future confrontations, we are talking robots, we're talking drones. We've got to fix the grid. We need smart grids. Jim, there's a lot of money to be made. Listen, obviously today, FireEye is a stock that we've talked about. I pounded the table on it, exploded to the upside today. All those cybersecurity stocks are higher. All across the board, this is something that's not going to go away, but there is a way to make big money on it.
There is, and I've talked about this stock on your show before, but Fortinet. They are FTNT. They are they had an amazing first quarter. They are focusing on large business, and they had 70% year-over-year growth. But again, they are in the Fortune 100 companies. They're actually in a couple Fortune 5 companies, and I believe that's who is most in vogue right now, in focus. Those are also the companies that will spend the most money. So I really think they've positioned themselves. They are the leader. They're the leader in their space, and I think they're well positioned to capitalize on their large-scale business.
What do you like, Ross?
Well, I like all of them because I think all these companies have underspent for all these years, and that's why we're long HACK, which is the ETF for it.
Must be watching the show.
Yeah. No, we like so many of these companies, and we want to take advantage of all of them. But companies have underspent, the government's underspent, and this is now it has to be caught up, and these companies are all going to benefit.
I tell you what, we saw, and I got it. The banks, are one of the biggest. They've got to put this to work. We talk about credit cards and all of that stuff. And it still doesn't feel like the banking community, the large banks in particular, maybe Jamie Dimon, but the rest haven't to me been serious enough about investing in this. But maybe they will be. Maybe that's where a big growth area.
Yeah, matter of fact, my sources have told me what the banks are really focusing on is having a handbook, is having the right disclosures ready and the crisis management, but not really truly.
So instead of prevention, the public relations aspect.
Exactly. What the board of directors need to know, what steps have to be taken. Exactly. No, they're really not. But I do bet some of the more premium banks, like a Goldman Sachs on the investment banking side, I bet some of the private equity funds like Carlyle and Blackstone, I bet they have instituted and have their own internal IT, and they're watching their firewall.
I just want to say, Alan mentioned government and the private sector. The banks and the government are actually working very closely because they believe that an attack on the U.S. could hit the financial markets first and foremost. Absolutely. There was a lot of dialogue going on between the banks and the government.
There's no question why the former World Trade Center was the target. It wasn't just because it was the tallest building, but that was the financial heart of America. By the way, if any of these banks have trouble and they have enough money, they could get Hillary to help them out because I know she has no problems with this kind of stuff. But Alan, where would you look? Because to hack is one. Matt's talked about it. Ross has just mentioned it. That's an ETF. It has a whole bunch of names. So is there one that stands out to you, a specific name?
Yeah, not for me, Charles. This isn't really my style of investing. I think it's a hot sector and a hot market. A lot of these companies have big valuations and no earnings. It's a place I'm staying away from.
To your point, someone tweeted to me today, what's a negative PEG ratio?
Yeah, exactly.
But PEG is price to earnings to growth. Yeah. The key word there, the operative word is earnings.
Yeah, and if you don't know what that is, you shouldn't be investing in this
stock. I got a stock for Alan. It's Lockheed Martin. It's a cyber play, but it's a dividend, low PE stock, and their cyber division is growing.
That's phenomenal. They have a phenomenal. Yeah. They have a phenomenal. I like it too. But I know what you're saying because we saw last year where these stocks took off, had a bad quarter or two, they crashed, and now they're finally coming back. So volatility, high risk, I take your point.
But to that point, though, you're looking at a trend that's not going to end. You're not looking at some hot, fad. This is a true trend. 85% of companies believe that they will be hacked this year, according to a report. 60% said they're going to increase their security budget this year. And I think that's probably a low number. So this is something that's not going to go away in the next year or next decade. So why would you not want to invest in what I consider next?
I guess the only thing, and I'll play devil's advocate here because I'm in about a half dozen of these names, and I have been in and out of them for a couple of years. But I've been in them when they've hit the brick walls. In other words, you mentioned over the next 2 years, almost every name on that screen there might miss an earnings report over the next year or so.
Yes, you have to buckle down. Remember FireEye, you had it did well. Then it was WaterEye because it came down, and now it's up to a new 52-week high. Right. But this is the type of investment, though, that you can't look day to day. You have to put it away for a couple of years. It's kind of a core investment in a major theme.
Anybody like anything else? Robots, smart grids, anything like that?
It's very interesting. There's a company, MACOM. It's spelled MACOM. MTSI is the symbol. MACOM is fascinating because they make the semiconductors that go into a lot of the radio frequency devices. So it might be anything from meteorologists or a lot of defense work. But MTSI is one that's under the radar right now. But you wait and see. You're going to hear a lot more about it.
Well, this drone thing that I referred to at the top of the show, I think that's Boeing. right? And we're talking about a drone that never has to land again, stays in the sky, charges through a tower electronically, charges, and then keeps flying all the time. Listen, we talked about the NSA. We talk about libertarians all the time. One of the big news items this week was the renewal of parts of the Patriot Act. I think you start talking about that. It's one thing to use it to defeat China. It's another thing. Imagine an army of drones over our cities recharging all the time. That's like some of the blackest things, like a Philip K. Dick novel or something.
But it's not just us either. I mean, a lot of these large aerospace events sell to countries all around the world. So, I mean, we may not be spending as much, but a lot of other countries are gearing up their armed forces. So I like the Boeing, the Lockheed, the big names like that.
Yeah, all right, well, have Brave New World, like weird stuff going on. Because, you know, I don't think we're going to use all this stuff against us. I mean, if you ask the Taliban what's the scariest thing in the world to them, it's a drone. So, you know, I think it's a very effective military. And Northrop is a great way.
Well, all we got to say is, you know, maybe if we're going to fight the wars in the future through technology, we may take some of our freedoms may be collateral damage. All right, well, I said it.